Well, Dave, I got your call. I took care of that problem again. Nobody can seem to dispatch of Adam, so every
Hey.
season you got.
Hey, sorry to interrupt.
I'm in the middle of a monologue here.
I know, but Michelle needs something.
Fine.
It'll just take
whatever.
a second. Let me just
Yeah.
put this on. I'll just put this on mute for just a second. All right, we're muted. What do you need? I know. Watch my tone. What? I'm doing my fantasy football thing. I'm not a boy. I'm a man. It's $60. No, I haven't won anything yet. But I did win this week. But oh no, I'm not in the playoffs. Yes, I know. I'm sleeping on the couch. Uh, what? No, I never said these guys were Junior and a bunch of dicks. I said Junior lost his appendix. Well, yeah, I guess most of us are probably dicks, though. Yeah. What? No, well, I mean, not everybody. Josh isn't. I don't. Well, Brian's not when he pays his tavern bill. Who else? Danny wasn't a dick. Oh, but he's not in the league anymore. Who took his place? Andy? Yeah, I suppose you're right. He is. Brennan's not a dick. No, not Brennan. Yes, he's still very attractive. What? No, actually, I was wrong about that. He's not gay after all. He married a girl. No, I'm not disappointed. He wasn't my type. Yeah, more like Lee. Yeah. What? The rest of us? Yeah, I guess we're all dicks. Who? The biggest one? Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. I think Dana lost a bet or something. Look, I got to get back to this. Katie only pays me for an hour to hang out with this jackass. So, yes, I'll do my chores before I go to bed. All right. Let me put this. All right, back unmuted. All right, we're good.
Dave.
Yeah.
You weren't muted the whole time.
Excuse me. What?
Yeah, we all heard all that.
Oh. Don't. Oh. Where were we? We have some awards to give out.
Hold on. Who were you calling dicks?
Nobody.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to hear any of that. So anyway, where were we?
I was talking about how every time the league can't seem to deal with Adam, that you call me and it's like, hey, Rip, can you come and take care of this problem? And I'm like, sure. And then I show up and I take Adam's ass to the train station. That's what happens. I don't know what all the talk's about, all this like mumbo jumbo about making a big deal. Here's what happens. You got a problem with Adam.
Yeah.
I come in, take his ass to the train station. Job done. I don't see what the big deal is.
I feel like you got a split personality a little bit. There's this version of you that's confident, tough, maybe even a bit,
jackass.
Yes, exactly, jackass. And then there's the other version of you that's like, Loserville.
Well, it depends on the week, Dave. Oh, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. It's hot in the coat, and I can't pretend to be ripped, so I'll let you kick off. You've got a team of the week to hand out, so
it still flabbergasts me every time. We got games that go a game Thursday, a whole full set of games on Sunday. But how many times does it come down to like the last couple plays of Monday night that like made all the difference of not only like some of the the wins and losses and high points, but who I'm going to give my awards to.
Yeah.
Because there were so many, like at the end when it was kind of a battle between me and Junior about who was going to get high points, and I had a little scenario there where they got a defensive almost touchdown a guy, his foot was out of bounds. I get it. But like his foot was out of bounds. But if I get that, I get high points.
Yeah.
Junior still wins.
Because Eckler doesn't get the touchdown.
Yeah, Eckler doesn't get the touchdown. So once that happened though, I was at like 100 something. Junior had like 104. Even without the touchdown, he would have had high points. But you and Adam's matchup, if they would have thrown the ball, or if how many times now does the quarterback just run Hurts runs it in, Josh Allen runs it in.
So for me, I'm like, it's a nightmare situation that your defense doesn't score that touchdown, because now we're on the 2-yard line, and he could have done anything.
He could have ran it in. He could have done a little pass to a tight end.
Play action.
Yeah, and so that would have changed everything, because we had some, as it is, there were some candidates like, even Travis's. It wasn't like a blowaway win this week, but him getting a win put him in a position to get in first place. There's weeks where getting yourself in first place, that's worthy of a Miller Time Team of the Week. But I didn't really consider him, too much, maybe an honorable mention because he won. But then, then I was already.
Because all he does is win.
Yeah, I know. Then I was already, is there a scenario where I could give it to myself? And I'm like, well, possibly, if, just because of the fact that, especially if
you would have scored that touchdown, I would have given it to you for you, because
just the juxtaposition
came out of nowhere.
I almost, I had a thought, I wasn't going to, but benching my defense to guarantee a win. But I knew, where I'm at in the standings, I'm like, I need every point I can get. So I was like, I didn't really think too hard about it, but I would have felt pretty stupid if they would have dropped, 30, 40 points on them, and I would have got beat. So then, but that didn't happen. And then, then there's Junior, who gets high points. He's kind of digging himself out of the basement where the rest of us. But all
Power
that
rankings
said,
got him at 7.
All that said, there's only one answer. And that's you.
Oh, Dave.
I mean, it wasn't dominating by any stretch, and it was a nail biter to the end. And a lot of things had to go your way, like the fact that Herbert didn't get a passing touchdown. It was one of those things where he, if you said, did Herbert had a bad day? No, he just like, all the people that, like whoever had Lamar, he didn't have a great fantasy day, but his team dominated. He did everything he needed to do. I mean, the defense took over.
Yeah, they won by.
Yeah, he didn't need to throw, so he didn't. So it wasn't like a dominating win by any stretch. But anytime you take out somebody undefeated, that's a Miller Time Team of the Week.
I appreciate that, Dave. I do. And, something I think gets lost in this matchup between me and Adam is that for weeks, I've acknowledged the fact that, man, hey, I'm going to be playing Adam in a couple weeks, but all my guys are on bye, or like most of the guys that I'm playing are on bye. And like, that's not an excuse. Like I drafted that team. I put that roster together. Like that was some bad planning on my part to have a very week 9 heavy, but still, like, half of the guys that I had to start were waiver wire guys. Or I mean, the truth is, I could rename my team. I could go from the smithereens to the waiver wires, and that would be more realistic, like, of the makeup of my team. But Adam had his full team, and I had Tank Dell. You know what I mean? So
Tank definitely helped, but I mean, your defense and your old pal Tucker came back to help you.
Yeah, he came at one time. I needed him one time. So I mean,
Puka not so much.
No. The quarterbacks matter when it comes to your wide receivers.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So CJ Stroud is on the rise, and I got backups throwing to other guys, and it makes a difference. So I was fortunate to get the win. Adam's team on paper and most weeks better than my team. But for me, who had just lost a week ago, that was a huge win.
Yeah.
Not only do I rearrange the top for Travis and just give everybody a chance to say that, Rennie, myself, anybody, because we got weeks left. It's like, hey, there's a chance to win the league, right? Or at least to rise up. Now, Travis and Adam probably aren't going anywhere. One of those two guys
Yeah.
probably going to win the league, but
and to Adam's point on the chat, about a win is a win. I know he doesn't really probably mean that, but your win had ramifications of the standings for 1 and 2 for you, going from where like in the middle to a little bit a solid 4th place or whatever. I mean, whereas my win took me from 12th place to 11th place. So I mean, which one? It didn't really, one's not equal to the other necessarily.
Yeah, no, and it's
it counts the same, but the impact is
so I said that sore loser Adam's my favorite Adam. That's not really true, because he's not whining about the loss. And so Adam, I don't think you're a sore loser. But here's the truth, okay? If I can, surprised Adam is my favorite Adam. Okay. Because here's what happened. There's just been a few times during the season he makes a trade with Travis Kelce to Ed, and now the reality is that trade has panned out to be fair, right? I think we both say Adam hasn't got a huge advantage off of it, and that's why we let trades play out. I'm all in favor of. Some people could argue that Ed got the advantage of the trade.
Yeah.
Okay.
And especially when
So it's not about. Yeah, I'm not making this about the trade, but Adam reached out to us and said, hey, I just want to let you guys know about this. Here's what happened. Here's a conversation with Ed. Everything's above board. And I appreciate that. That's fine. When people started nitpicking the trade, Adam's like, oh, what's going on? Why is everybody you knew it was going to happen. If you didn't think anybody was going to say anything, you wouldn't have texted me and Dave. You wouldn't have laid out this reason why it's fair. Like, you knew people were going to say something. Adam, when you're playing me, you know this is going to happen. Don't tell me you don't remember you lost to me. That's when Rip Smitty was born, okay? That's where it came from, all right? A year ago, I talked trash. I created the marquee matchup, and I talked crap to you the entire week and said, you're going down, and what happened? He lost. So don't tell me you don't remember. It happened, and so I'm going to talk crap, and then when I win, I'm going to celebrate, and when I lose, I'm going to put on a loser bag. It's what happens, so don't pretend like you're surprised at what's going on in chat. Okay, that's all I'm saying, is don't pretend like you didn't see this coming, or like somebody's making a big deal about it. You know the deal. Anybody who's in this league, they know if they lose to me, they're probably going to hear about it in chat, on the podcast. Is that true?
It is. There's some truth there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and if I lose, dude, I'll put a bag on my head and I will say I suck. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have drafted 9 Jaguars, and I shouldn't have been drinking from round 4 to round 15. Like, I'm fine. Like, that's all true. But if I get you when half my team's on bye, and you got Justin Herbert going on Monday Night Football, and you need 10 points, dude, you're going to hear about it. Yeah. Just like Dave, I'm going to remind you that Monday night reminded me a lot of Kurt Warner.
Yeah. I still get PTSD from thinking about that game.
Now, that was a playoff game, so those implications were even bigger.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those where, like,
you only needed like 5 points, and he got 3.
And he started off with like a fumbles and a pick, and I was like, so he was in the hole, and I'm like, well, he's Kurt Warner.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Herbert didn't even throw a pick or have a fumble, and he could have had both.
Yeah.
Easily. So, all right, let's
So you're the winner.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thank you for the recognition. I appreciate it.
It was all came down to that last possession. Kind of like, because if Herbert throws it in
or runs it,
I don't give it to Adam because he was supposed to win.
Yeah.
So like that wouldn't have been, beating you wouldn't have been worthy of much. I probably would have had a chance, then it would have been back to either me or Junior,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so for the Hillbilly Harrison Team of the Week, I got to go back to last week. Last week, I gave it to Ed.
Yeah.
And Ed didn't really deserve it last week. It was just the mere fact that I didn't want to give it to Lee like 4 weeks in a row. Lee's team was in a spiral. I wasn't really 100% sure if Lee was paying attention, maybe he was pulling a Danny. And so it was just like, man, that's not fun giving it to Lee every week. And plus, Lee knows where I live.
He
And,
does.
so like Ed got it, but it wasn't really fully deserving. I'll acknowledge that as the award giver. Ed, I apologize. This week, though, to make up for it, I'm going to give it to Ed and Lee because that was the worst matchup
Wasn't that
in
just
history.
46 to
Number
59?
Number one, I'd like to thank Ed because as good as I would say my team has been all year, the one blemish that I have is that I currently, before last week, had the lowest scoring week on record for the season, a 49 in week 2. Doesn't matter that I rattled off 4 straight consecutive weeks of scoring over 100, and the only other team to do that is Travis. Don't ask me how I know that. I just do. But doesn't matter. I had a 49, and that 149 score is the thing that's kept me from averaging over 100 for the season. It's kept me probably buried down in 4th or 5th place instead of reaching up to 3rd. That 49 has been a nemesis to me. But then Ed comes along and he scores 46.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he removes me from the record books of having the lowest score this season. And I would just like to thank Ed, but I can't just give it to Ed, even though he deserves it. I'm going to give it to Lee because Lee scored 59. I mean, do the math. What do we got? We probably got at least 4 teams that scored more than the combined total of the 2 teams there. So it's bad.
Yeah.
So Lee and Ed, congratulations. You are the Hillbilly Harrison Hillbillies of the week because there's nothing more hillbilly than having a 46.6 to a 59.6 matchup.
Yeah.
Anybody in our league, I mean, look at all the teams that lost this week. You know, Adam would have loved to have played one of them, right? You know, Heim Time, Brian, he's like, well, why didn't I play them? Brennan, why couldn't I have played one of those 2 teams this week? Ratty, who 81 to 110, he's like, I played Junior, and Junior decides to score points. Like, why couldn't I have played Lee this week? And Andy, Polk High School, 79.7. He's like, man, Travis only scored 85.7, but it would have been a whole lot nicer if I played Ed. You know what I mean? Or if I played Lee. So that's my Hillbilly of the week. It goes to both of them. That's a terrible matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Lee broke a 5-game losing streak with a 59.
By scoring 59. Yeah, not even scoring 60 points.
I mean, my goodness. But we can't say anything bad about Lee because he can pull your arms off.
Yeah, he can. Yeah. but he does get the Hillbilly of the week. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, we talked about my matchup with Adam Rennie with a big win over Brian. Much needed for him. 3 wins in a row for Rennie. That was a pretty close one.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why Breece Hall couldn't have popped off a 60-yard touchdown. Like, he's capable of that any time. But boy, they just bottled them up the whole game. You know.
Yeah.
Because going into it, I thought, like he ended up needing 20, I think, or something, and he only got 6. But so it never materialized to be close. So then you go back and you look,
but like
what went wrong?
Lamar scoring 11 and knowing that a backup quarterback came in and threw a touchdown in that game. It's like, all these just wonky things.
Back to what I was saying about the difference between, a good football game played and fantasy life, because Lamar didn't do anything wrong.
Wouldn't you say, I mean, wouldn't you like? I know he probably didn't have a ton of options, and maybe he didn't want to drop Jacksonville defense, and he didn't want to drop Cincinnati's defense. But playing Cincinnati against Buffalo, there were probably better options.
Yeah, yeah. I wondered about. I even put something like that in the write up. I'm like, hey, he's got guts to
Yeah,
to do
no,
that. But
I appreciate the fandom, but
yeah,
yeah,
but I don't. I mean, that
you,
5 points. I mean, it's really the 10 more points that Lamar usually gets would
yeah.
have made a big difference.
Now talk to me about Flex versus Andy, because this was just a huge one, and if you were gonna get Travis, this was the week to
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
yeah. It was.
So where did Andy fall short? Is it all on Walker's shoulders
It's
that
well, I think it's that, and you spend such a high pick on Adams that it's how do you go off of him? Even though if you've watched any of Vegas the last 3 weeks,
well,
he is
even though they turned their
disgruntled.
seat, they won. This was a game where they're
Yeah,
gonna like,
no,
show
he's
Josh
not happy.
McDaniels what's up, but he's still not getting the ball.
He's
And
not getting the ball. Yeah,
if they could have made a trade and somebody else got him, Andy's season changes drastically. It's bad football right now in
yeah.
Vegas.
But I mean, he would have had to pick up somebody. It's not like he had anybody on his bench that was ready to,
Yeah.
plug in.
I
So
mean,
that
bench points for some teams is a major factor in like everything that happened, like
yeah.
Brennan and other people, but it's not really with that one.
No, it was just he. It's when your big investment people, your running back and your top wide receiver do nothing. You know, now
So
he'll have better days because I
yeah,
think like I don't know if Adams will improve, but you know Pittman and even like his air Marquise Brown he should be better with Kyler Murray back but yeah, it was just one of those things where he just too many and the kicker gets 3 points and you know nothing went right. But yeah, if
yeah.
you're going to take advantage of Adam or of Travis getting less than 90, man, you got to jump on that.
Yeah. Well, and so now let's just talk briefly about Junior versus Ratty, because we're all really high on Josh's team. But first we'll start with Junior. Do you believe that Junior has a legit? He's ranked number 7 in the power rankings because he has been rising. He's
Yeah.
been playing way better of late. As Joe Burrow goes, he has been doing better. But do you think he has a legit shot of making the playoffs?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he suffered at the beginning when Eckler wasn't playing, and he's heating up the last 2 weeks. He's scored 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks and starting to get used a ton. So that's going to be helpful. Pachenko's been pretty solid. Burrow's only getting better. Um, receivers, I don't know if he'll probably mix and match that quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, with Burrow and with Eckler, I mean, that's a pretty good 1-2
Yeah.
punch.
So if you project Junior into the playoffs, he's power rank number 7. Of the two teams that he's competing with, Lee and Ed, which one of those have you thought at all of which one of those teams you project falling out?
Um, well, I don't know if I, I,
It, it
I still hold out hope that I can put a run together and knock one of these guys out. But
oh, Dave, I'm trying to talk about facts. Here you are
okay.
talking about fiction.
But no, I mean, I think Ed is just falling apart, and so
Well, so the legit. I mean, there is a legit thing that Ed and Lee, who right now take up the number 8 and number 7 spot. I mean, I think you and I probably agree. The top 6 teams that are above that, they're in a different category than Ed and Lee. Just currently, right?
um,
I mean, Ratty, Rennie, me,
oh, yeah, I mean, Ratty's taking a
Andy,
turn for the worse, and
but he's got. I mean, things could go different, but
yeah,
I'm just put a lot of trust in Tua and Tyreek. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, and we've said that all year, and they obviously Miami's got to figure some things out, but I just think there's a lot of points
and
to
he
be
doesn't have
scored
him
there.
this week, so he's
Yeah,
plugging somebody. So this could be a loss week, and then
yeah.
you're.
Then
But
you're
yeah, I
fighting.
don't. I mean, it's going to take a lot for Brian and Lee's. I mean, Lee's just you get it. I don't know. I mean, he's got
I mean,
guys
he
on
only
IR
scored
now. There's
59.
some of them might be coming
He
back.
got a
But
win, which was important for him.
Yeah.
Gave him a little bit of breath, but he only scored 59. He's going to have to score more than 59 this week if he wants to retain his playoff spot. And Ed is going to, again, I said it last week. I'll continue to say it. I will say, Ed, watch the podcast, but I'm not going to say fill out your lineup. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's got to do that on his own.
He's got quite a bit to do this week.
Yeah. So,
So you didn't, before we leave the rankings here, because we brought it up, you didn't like mine.
No, I just think that, again, I don't know where that stat came from. Somebody, I think in the media department had fed it to me. Yeah, like one of the most disappointing things about this week was that I only scored like 93 and I broke my 100-point scoring streak. So even though I lost a week ago, I still scored over 100. So I just think that the consistency of the Smithereens compared to Rennie's 60, 110, 70, like I don't know. I think that like my team has been really consistent. Now, Adam and Travis have probably been the most consistent. Andy had been pretty consistent up until but my team's consistency to score in the 90s outside of that week 2 40-point game, I will acknowledge the 49-point game. That is a blemish that you cannot forget about. But other than that week, man.
So the stat that kind of overrid with me is he's got a pretty good, he's got a winning streak going. And you have about the same total points, but he's had 100 more points scored against him.
But the points against doesn't really matter if you look at how many you win by. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying that like if I had it, like if I would have played Ed this week, but I still scored 90 and he scores 40, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that stat is important, but it can be misleading.
It can, but it can also sometimes things even out to where maybe you're due for people to start scoring more against you, and maybe Rennie's due for people to score a little bit less.
Yeah.
To where he has a better chance of overtaking. I would just say that,
like, based on our league, especially now that we're in the throes of bye weeks, if my team continues to score at the 100-point right in there, I'm going to take my chances to say I'm going to win more games than I'm going to lose.
Well, here's the thing. If you win this week, and well, it depends on how you win, but I could put you above Rennie but it depends on what happens this week. I wasn't ready to do it yet. Obviously, you had yourself above Rennie. I didn't.
Well, and Rennie has more points scored than me, so he continues to remain where he's at.
He's got a better quarterback.
On the rise. But again, like we said, like I think for sure Travis, Adam, Andy, Rennie, Kevin, those 5 teams, and according to ESPN and just by Matt, they're pretty safe.
Yeah.
Now, Josh is right there, like you said. A little bit of losing streak. I think his players are good enough to keep him in the top 8 for sure. But the 2, Ed and Lee, those teams are vulnerable, and there's some teams that are below them, like Brian Jr. and Dave, who notice I didn't mention your name, Brennan. I'm sorry, but those teams are eager.
A lot of stuff would have to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Lee's technically has the spot right now, not in our rankings, but in the real rankings, because he's got the one more win. But
yeah. So what happened with Josh? I mean, taking a 0 from Dallas defense definitely hurts, right?
Yeah. Who'd they play? They played.
Dallas played Philly, and I think he had to start them because San Francisco, who he drafted, was on bye, and
So
he
either
got
you find a way to have 3 defenses for 1 week, which is tough to do.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to give up either one of those. I mean, he
Yeah.
picked up Dallas off the waivers when I believe Adam drafted them and then dropped them for some reason, which is really unlike Adam. But
I
then
mean, but
Dallas has been a
Philly's
great
kind of one of those
scoring.
teams that how do you play a defense against them? Because you know they're going to score
Yeah.
enough points to take you
Well, I
to
think
zero.
I think a lot of times with Dallas or some defenses that play like Dallas is that you know they're going to get some points scored against them, but you're hoping that they end up scoring a touchdown or they get enough sacks or picks that it kind of evens out, and it just didn't end up happening for
But I
them
mean,
in that game.
when you just look on paper, Dallas D, Vegas D, you wouldn't assume a 20-point difference in fantasy points.
No. That and that's a big difference. And if you look at Burrow and Tua, you would think, oh, that'll be pretty even. Junior got a 12-point swing there. Hill really, I mean, got outscored by Wilson for the Jets, and the Jets played terrible in that game. So it's, there's all kinds of things. I think that Josh's team, with having San Francisco and Dallas's defense, having Tua, having Hill, Pittsburgh's playing better, so Najee's got more chances to. I think his team is going to be a playoff team. I'm not going to count Josh out, but Junior has a real chance to make the playoffs now, and he's
got to
trending
find
up.
I think Goddard's going to be out a while, so that, and it's tough. I mean, there's some tight ends out there, but nobody that really you think's a big part of the offense like Goddard is.
Yeah. So and Rennie, big win over Brian. I think we talked about that one just briefly. Lamar really a down week, and Josh Allen just does Josh Allen things. And Rennie gets to win even with a -3 from Giants defense. And we mentioned it last week, but tons of teams on bye this past week, so a lot of guys playing guys or taking chances on guys that wouldn't normally do. So a lot of big, this was a big week, and I think that as we look and project forward into week 10, ton of stuff coming up that is going to be big. I mean, the number one team in our league currently is Travis, and Dave, you're trying to make the playoffs, and so you're trying to get turn one win into two. And what do you get for your effort? But you get to play against Flex.
The only, glass half full is that Kansas City's on bye.
Yeah,
I would rather play, face Geno Smith than Mahomes, but I would have really loved. I would have loved for Fields to be ready this week, but they just happen to have a Thursday game, and so he's not playing because, Carr has been serviceable. He's in the 20s every time, but that darn Taysom Hill steals a lot of the points, running them in and throw.
But the problem is that you can't predict when Taysom's going to get them.
No. And so I don't know, but then I look and all the guys on waivers are risky. Nobody's a sure thing. So I don't know whether I try one of these guys, or at least go for them and see if I get them, but I don't know what to, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But yeah, it didn't hit at the right time, and I got a lot of holes that some like Metcalf's disgruntled. Gabe Davis put up a 0, which was inexplicable. Why? Like, why did he get 0? It seems like the narrative on every talk, like sports radio, is what the heck's Atlanta doing with Bijan Robinson? It's not just me. Wondering why he doesn't get the ball more. Like, what in the world is that coach and owner doing? Like, so if they could figure that out, that would be helpful.
There's a lot of locker rooms that aren't happy with their coaches, aren't there?
Yeah.
Vegas kicked theirs out, but there's more. So
yeah, I got a lot that has to go my way this week.
But again, in a week where teams are on bye, anything can happen. And Travis has been he's vulnerable in the fact that he only scored 80. He's without Mahomes this week, so he's trending to score in the 80s or 90s once he plugs in everybody. So Dave, if you're going to get him while Mahomes is on bye.
It's my chance.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Adam would love that. Adam is taking on Ed, and Ed, if I've got any advice for you, it's to grab your cowboy hat, okay, look at Adam, and just be like, "I see a red sash. I killed a man wearing it." Oh wait, did I
It's
just? I went from Yellowstone to Tombstone. You can't mix your genres. Take that off. But
it's too
nah,
bad. It's too bad though that the trades can't play each other.
yeah.
That since Kelsey's on bye, that's kind of a bummer. But
I
you
mean,
know,
not for Ed, it's not.
yeah, that's true. Although if I don't. It's one of those things where you trade for somebody, plus they're a big, big, big name in Kelsey. But had he played his other tight end, he would have beat you.
Yeah,
If he didn't have
exactly.
allegiance to Kelsey,
Oh, I didn't end up putting it on the thread, but like Sunday, I was definitely thinking, this victory goes out to Ed. Thank you for the trade because I mean, what did I can't I have to go back and look, but what did Kelsey end up
I don't.
having? Like
Well, Laporta was on bye, I think,
no, but what did Kelsey have for Travis last week? Like 1 point. You have less than 2 points
for
or less
Adam.
than yeah.
Yeah, he didn't score much at all.
Yeah. So I was like, thank you, Ed. I mean, I owe my victory to Ed
Yeah,
because
because
Adam
if
could have picked up any tight end.
yeah, well, or he
It's
could have played the guy he had on his bench,
yeah,
Ferguson.
yeah. So Ed, thank you for the trade. I mean, without the trade, I don't get my victory. So
Yeah,
it was amazing. But
totally.
now he's on bye, so he scored nothing last week, and then this week he's on bye,
So everything
and
that his two guys, Laporta and uh, what's it, Addison, everything they get, it's going to be more than Kelsey gets.
yes, it is. And man, I mean, I, I don't predict it happening, but if Ed were somehow to be able to pull off a victory against Adam, that would be huge because it would really shake up. I mean, it would just open up the possibility that, I mean, everybody in the league should be rooting for you
To beat
and
Trey,
Ed this week.
just so that there's more people that have a chance at the top spot.
Yeah, just so the coming down the last, so after this, so this right now we stand with 5 weeks left, I believe. Is
Hmm.
that right? And
Yep.
then so after this week, there'll be 4 weeks left. I mean, if Travis and Adam both were to lose this week, that would mean the last 4 weeks, man, it's just a sprint. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
Andy has a chance, Rennie has a chance, I have a chance. Like that just makes it fun, right? It's like just whatever happens. I mean, probably have to win out to do it, but at least it opens up the possibility. If Adam would have went 10-0 before his first start league,
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
that's
the later it gets and the wrong people play each other to where
yeah,
there's no way that
yeah. There's
things
no
can
chance.
happen.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just think for the league, and take me out of it, okay? Take my team out of it. Just for the league, I would love to see a battle come down to the end for who's going to win the league. I think that's fun. And then the playoffs are their own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not one of those guys that's going to concern myself about seeding or like who I would play first week because you don't know who you're going to play and what's going to happen.
You're not
Every
gonna
team that's on our thing has been proven that they can score under 100 and they can
yeah.
score over 100.
Yeah.
So,
Where are we at?
big game. Ed's got to beat. He's got to get a win there. We've
He
got
needs a lot of players.
yeah, Polk High School 2.0 versus Call Me Ratty. I think this is a great matchup, and both teams coming off of losses need wins, and so yeah, it should be now
Ratty
Ratty
Josh
without
prepared.
Miami.
He prepared and already had a quarterback picked up.
Yep.
Andy didn't. So well, I'm thinking about it. Andy put a question out there about
Oh yeah, yeah. So now
how
as we get to Andy's matchup, let me explain because I thought about this. Let me
okay.
explain in my novice voice, and then you can from the professional standpoint.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Okay.
So once games begin on Sunday, every player, like once their team's game begins, every player now is locked into, you cannot pick them up. Okay. So you can't be watching a game and be like, oh, who's this kid that's just like scoring? He's not on anybody's team. Let
Yeah.
me pick him up and I have him. Okay. No, they're locked. They're now
Same with Thursday.
Yep.
So
Same with Thursday. Yeah. They're once the team's game for the week begins, that player is locked into a waiver player, right? And so then for all of us, it goes until they are on waivers until Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. So between the time the games end on Monday night
Yeah.
and Thursday, and even before that, if you want to, like once the team's game is over with,
Yeah.
you can put in a waiver claim for a player. Now, your waiver spot 1 through 12 is dependent on how you've used it. I use mine every week, so mine gets kicked down to the bottom. I'm always at 10, 11, 12, you know what I mean? But if you haven't used it, it continues to rise as other people do use it. So Andy, if you haven't put in a waiver claim, your spot, you can find it when you go to your own personal team page. It'll say waiver spot.
Just for fun, we'll see where
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah, let's tell Andy where he's at.
He is. Oh, I don't like the app as. I don't like the app as well.
Makes for great TV.
Yeah, no doubt. So he's currently 8, which isn't great.
So yeah, it's not great. So 8. So
1 through 7.
Yeah. So let's say this quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, Dobbs. If you wanted him, Andy, you could put a claim in for him. Okay, because he's a waiver protected free agent. And but if anybody who had waiver spot 1 through 7 above you requested them, you're not going to get them. Yeah. Okay. So, and your waiver spot, again, it's based off at the beginning where you draft, and then after that, how you use it. Every time you use it, you kick back to the bottom, and then as other teams use it, then you raise up. Okay. So if Dobbs is who you're after and you put a claim in for him and nobody else does, you get him, you go down to the bottom. But if somebody else above you requests them, then you don't. Now, the tricky thing happens is, let's say, Andy, you wanted Dobbs as your quarterback, and let me look at who Andy's got on his bench, okay? Let's say that for some crazy reason you drop Tyler Boyd to get Dobbs, and that goes through, and you've got Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is not just a free agent when he comes back into the free agent pool. He's now on waivers as well. Okay. Right. So after all those go, then those will cycle through on Sunday morning. Is that right? There's like 2 days.
It's like all the ones that happen Thursday would be Sunday morning, I think.
Sunday morning. So somebody else can go look. That's another thing that you can do, Andy. You can go through, especially in these high bye weeks, and you can look and say, who did everybody drop? Is there a defense or a tight end or a wide receiver that I'd like to have on my team after everybody made their pickups on Thursday? Because sometimes, because of injuries and everything else, people have to drop people they didn't really want to drop just to fill out a full lineup. So, Andy, in this scenario, you drop Tyler Boyd, and Dave, being a big Bengals fan, is like, I'd love to have Tyler Boyd on my team. He can request him and try to get him. What makes it really tricky is, okay, say you're Lee and you didn't put in for any waiver spots and you didn't come in and pick up anybody after Thursday morning when everybody becomes unrestricted free agents. Yeah. You wait till Sunday.
It's around 5 or 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So if you look in the history, Adam made a transaction at 7:03 a.m. on Thursday. So he waited until after waivers, had first pick of all the rest of the people, and picked a kicker.
That's important, Andy. If you're up early on Thursday morning, anybody who didn't get claimed on waivers and added to a team, now those players are all unrestricted free agents. You can add them however you want, okay? Between Thursday and Sunday, all those players are free agents. The only exception is those players that were dropped from somebody So they're new additions to the free agent market. Now, let's take Lee. I watched Lee's team because he had a lot of holes to fill. Lee didn't fill any of his spots until Sunday morning. Every player that Lee dropped off of his team on Sunday to build his team, those players are not eligible to be added to your team. So even though they're in the list, they're not owned by anybody. It's Sunday and games haven't started yet. Because he waited till Sunday to drop them, everybody has to have a fair, free chance to claim them off waivers if they want to. So that is that's a dick move that some people can do.
No, it's just strategy
to keep people from adding them from that week, especially maybe somebody you're playing against, right?
So there's some strategy there.
Yeah.
If you have the number one spot and you want that guy back, but you need somebody else for a time, you could wait, drop them at the end, like on Sunday, and then you could be first to, knowing that you'll be able to be the first bid on Thursday to get them. There's some strategy there.
Yeah.
And there's some strategy in getting on, Thursday morning.
Or just because you don't want them on another roster this current week.
Yeah. And there's, people, some, I feel like there's been years past, there hasn't been like as many like impact, like there's people that obviously you've picked up some people, but it wasn't because everybody knew that person was going to go off,
Right. Yeah.
Whereas
I
it seems like
flyer on somebody.
There's years in the past where holding on to that one spot, like not using your waiver pick, getting up to one, and then somehow it's like somebody gets hurt and everybody knows that, that Larry Johnson's backup is going to end up being, great, and nobody. It seems like now people already have those guys on their team, whereas before, years ago,
with the handcuffed running back, everybody's got the primary and the secondary running backs on their team on most good rushing teams.
Like 8 years ago, it was different. It was, it seemed like there'd be some injury that happened, and then it's like, oh, this guy's a league changer.
Well, even with take the Rams for example. My number one running back for the Rams gets hurt. He goes on the 4-week IR, and then it came out and it was like, oh, they got this rookie. Nope, the rookie's not going to get it. It's going to be split between these two guys. Is it Henderson and I can't remember their two names, but like whatever it was, there was no definitive answer going into the start of their first game who was going to get more carries.
And Chicago was the same way, and there's other teams like that. But so I don't know that
seemed like
anymore,
right?
I don't
know
know
if Jonathan Taylor's not going to play, then Moss is going to get all the carries and he's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I don't know that. It seems like it's been a few years where somebody's like used their number one spot and then regretted it because I can
tell you an example of like something that maybe would have like put the free agency in a frenzy. If in week one, after Aaron Rodgers got hurt, if somebody like Tom Brady would have came out of retirement and signed with the Jets, that free agent week would have been 6 guys putting in a free agent waiver for Tom Brady.
I mean,
just to have him on, just taking a flyer on him. Yeah. Just being like, oh, I'll put that dude on my team. Or like Kirk Cousins got hurt, and if there would have been just a stud quarterback that was just like, I'm just waiting to see, you know what I mean? I don't know that we have somebody like that that's like just recently retired or hasn't signed. I mean, Carson Wentz is the best example we got, and it's like, nobody wants him.
I heard rumors that Ben was going to come out of retirement.
Yeah. It's like, but somebody maybe would have took a chance on that. Don't you agree? Yeah. Like a high name profile quarterback on a team. I don't want to say elite for the Jets, but on an elite team where you think, man, they got a lot of different, weapons, and so that's going to be fun. That team could do something.
So there's a lot of strategy in picking and choosing when you use your waiver spot, whether you use it, picking people. Like anybody on bye, they're available throughout the whole weekend. So like if you want to think ahead and pick somebody for the next week, that's why those guys are always available.
I feel like this hour-long answer to Andy's question, like both of us talking is like the Hangover movie when the dude's got all the math running around his head, and Andy's like, "What the hell are
Yeah.
you all talking about?"
Exactly.
So Andy, we're sorry.
Yeah.
All right, let's so Andy's got a big matchup
Yep.
against where were we? Who's he
Andy
against?
is going
Oh,
against Ratty,
against Josh, yeah.
and he
Josh does
needs a
not
quarter.
have
That's
his
what we got in there because he needs a
yeah,
quarterback.
yeah, he needs a quarterback, and Josh doesn't have his Miami quarterback, so
Yeah.
I mean he doesn't have Tua or Tyreek, so that's a good week to
Yeah.
face Ratty. But this week's win for either one of these teams, huge implications. Josh does not want to lose again.
Yeah.
And Andy needs to win to just keep pace and like to keep his spot. So yeah, so that's a big matchup. Now we go to it's me versus Brian, and I gotta face Lamar, so you just never know what's gonna happen. I mean, I don't know why Brian's team is projected to score so low, honestly,
Well,
and why mine's projected to score so high, but I feel like that this is a dangerous game for me.
so he's made some moves since I posted my thing before we started talking because he was in
Yeah,
the like 60s
yeah.
with who he had, and now he's got Debo in, he's got Hopkins in, so I knew it would even out a little bit, to I mean 105 is a little high, but I don't really know where. With the only like Chase might not play.
Yeah, I mean, like all these things are questionable, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we don't know about Chase. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has proven that he can't score 20 points in a fantasy game,
And he's
even though
going
he's
against San Francisco, but
yeah,
Lamar's going against Cleveland. That could be a 10-2 game or something,
yeah,
with a
both of them.
safety.
And then having 3 Jacksonville players against San Francisco. Now, this isn't my final lineup. Like
Yeah,
things could change between now and Sunday, but I mean,
as it is.
yeah, like that's a lot of points to project against a team that doesn't give up points. So,
Yeah, and if Chase doesn't play, your only option on your bench is another Jacksonville guy.
yeah, exactly. So
The
that's
Jacksonville
not good.
Smithereens.
Yeah. So, I
But
named
hey,
myself the Jacksonville Jaguars once in fantasy, but it meant that I remember when they went 0-16?
yeah, that was.
Yeah, yeah. So,
So I mean, I feel like you've been
that's a
doing
trap
well.
game.
Brian is due, man. He's
Yeah,
had some bad
yeah.
situations that just didn't
Well,
work out.
I will say this, Dave. I would love for Brian to live up to his name, Bad Beat Brian.
Come down to like Monday. Who's got Monday night stuff? Do you got any? Well, I don't. I mean, this might not be the final, but yeah, nobody's got
Yeah.
anything.
So
They're
maybe
all
I'll have to
Sunday.
add I might have to add a Monday night game just so I have a chance at the end.
Yeah, this could all be
Um,
decided by Sunday night.
yeah. So, all right, we got Skank versus Brennan. If you're Brenny, you just got to be loving life and be like, hey, let Josh Allen's meme flow on Monday night,
He's
and
he's got to be licking his chops against it's Denver, right? Not the Giants. I always thought it was they play Denver.
against Denver, like a bounce back game. I mean, you got to figure that the Buffalo Bills are tired of everybody in media
Yeah.
saying they're dead, they're done. So
And
Josh Allen's going to come out and try to put up a 40 spot on them.
I mean, yeah, Stroud did great against Tampa, but I mean,
That Cincinnati game's legit.
Josh Allen got points. He ran it in to get points. Not that they count the same, but he had a rough day. I mean, the Bengals were stifling him, but like
2 picks?
Geno and Brock Purdy didn't do so well against the Bengals. So I don't know, and if you look at Stroud outside of that last week, if you look at his games, it's like, 12, 19, 16. He had 25s before, but it's not like he's just, I don't know. He could, it could be a shootout, maybe.
Zero defense for Rennie. I like it. It's a good play. I mean, he's been negative so many times. It's worth a shot.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, we've got who we got next? According to the standings, we've got Junior versus Lee off while using What's his? I can't. It doesn't all come up.
Oswald using an Irish accent.
Offwall using an Irish accent.
Who hasn't done that?
Yeah, against Show Me Your TDs and man, I feel like that low key for the bottom 5 or 6 teams, this might be the game of the season.
Yeah, one of these guys will make it really tough for any of us below to catch them. But
I mean, if Lee gets a win, it becomes harder to catch him. But if Junior gets a win,
I mean, people like me and Brian and Brennan I don't really know who to root for because, obviously Junior has less wins.
Yeah, you want to catapult Junior and then try to catch Lee yourself, or do you want to have Lee drop down and just take your chances?
Like if Lee's gonna continue this dive anyway, then it'd be better for it to be.
But I mean, right now, what you say optimal for you is Adam takes care of business against Ed, and Junior upsets Lee.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, or the person with the least number, because I got to get past Junior before I get past Lee. So
yeah.
I don't know. That's why I don't know who to. I mean, not that rooting matters, but at least one of these guys is going to lose.
Yeah.
So that does help a little bit, but for us bottom feeders. But I mean, Lee's just had trouble with. I mean, he's got 3 spots tied up in IR, so it's hard to have anybody week to week to replace.
Yeah.
Now I did hear that Connor might be coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's this week or not, but it might
Sounds
be.
like the league is spoken, Dave. They're ready for that IR spot in 2024.
Yeah. No, I think that's with the rule change and it being a 4-week thing, that makes sense.
So, all right. Well, this thing's at an hour already, Dave. We need to wrap things up. It has been an amazing podcast.
I apologize before for not having my mute button on. It was a total accident.
Yeah, well, that whole bit that you did at the beginning was so bad that I drank a whole beer during it, and then it only left me with one other beer that I had available, and I drank that early. So, like the whole last 30 minutes of this podcast, I've been sober. So it's kind of sucked.
Yeah, that's not good for you.
Yeah, it's been a bummer. Well, Dave, thanks for all you do. It is a great week, but we're on to the next. And so anything we did last week really doesn't matter anymore.
Nope.
We're on to the future. I mean, let's quit living in the past.
We're all friends.
We are?
Yeah. Just check the group me. We're all getting along.
Oh yeah, it's one big happy family. So I think I've invited everybody over for Thanksgiving to your house. So.
Oh, okay. Well, we won't be here.
Okay. It'll be even better.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a great week and good luck in fantasy this week. Unless your name is Bad Beat Brian. We'll see ya.
See y'all. Even you, Junior.